greatest rivers has moved on from Zimbabwe in Africa to the tropical rainforests of Costa Rica in Central America. A spectacular, untamed venue set amidst active volcanoes, stunning natural surroundings, protected rainforests, and the challenging Class 5 Reventazon River. This year, 18 teams from 16 countries will line up to challenge for the title. Each country held a national selection where the winning team was chosen to represent their country at the Camel Whitewater Challenge. 3 women's teams represent the growth of women participating in this sport. Teams consist of 6 whitewater experts with an optional 7th member as a substitute or kayaker. This grueling 6-day event is designed to fully challenge the whitewater skills of the world's foremost rafting teams.
Staying in Costa Rica is excellent. I mean, we're talking about a beautiful country, beautiful river.
The big difference here compared to other rivers, especially compared to the Zambezi, is that here you need to stay really focused. There's no chance to get off your line. You have to make sure that in each of the rapids, even the smaller and unnamed rapids, have ones that can take your boat and drop the tube down and possibly hit some people out. So I think concentrating really hard, staying on your line, staying focused is going to be the teams that are going to come through in the end.
Very nice place. River is quite difficult because the rapids continue, rapid and rapid and rapid. There are quite sharp rocks inside, so it's very dangerous when team flips. We did once and it was quite very heavy and terrible to swim.
It's a good river, technical river, shallow, but that's a good experience. Yeah, we enjoy the river.
The river is very great. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable that such a great 5 river is flowing through the middle of the rainforest.
With over 15 different ecosystems, the visitor is exposed to an incredible variety of fauna, flora, and an ever-changing landscape. Set in the heart of this landscape, the first event of the challenge is the slalom, where competitors must tackle a challenging section of river through a series of up and downstream gates. Next up, it's the kayak downriver race. There'll be a mass start followed by 18 kilometers of continuous whitewater, with numerous grade 5 sections where even the top contenders can come unstuck. The raft sprint follows. 2 rafts will sprint head-to-head over a full kilometer in a muscle-burning, lung-bursting race, where the top 4 positions will be decided in separate semi-finals and finals. The flagship event of the Camel Challenge is undoubtedly the downriver raft race. It counts the most points towards the overall total. It's another fantastic day in Costa Rica, the morning of the first event of the 1998 Camel Whitewater Challenge, and competitors will leave the comfort of the Hotel Suere, board their buses, and embark on a long but beautiful bus trip to the Reventazon River. It's an opportunity to get their first glimpse of the amazing scenery and encounter the friendly people of this incredible country.
I think Slovenia is the top favorite because they know each other very well. They have very good technique, and especially for downriver race, they're in very good condition.
Oh, it's an incredible event. You know, it's so great to see familiar faces again here this year, and perfect place to have it in Costa Rica. The people are friendly and helpful, and you couldn't ask for a better place.
There is an air of excitement and tension as the river comes into view, and competitors can finally disembark and test their skills against each other and this incredible section of whitewater.
The 1998 Camel Challenge kicks into full swing with the slalom event on the Cartier section of the Reventazon River. This 800-meter course of up and downstream gates has been designed to test both the technical ability of the rafters to move their boats, as well as to interpret the river currents around each gate. Teams will be timed through the course, with penalty points added to their final time for any gates touched. With me, I've got Hodney from the German team and Beth Rippins from the reigning US ladies team. Beth, would you like to talk us through how penalty points are going to be awarded for this event?
If you touch 1 or 2 of the poles, you get a 5-second penalty added onto your overall time. If you miss one of the gates, then you get an entire 50 seconds added onto your overall time.
Hodney, would you like to talk us through how your team actually works as a group to maneuver the rafts around these poles and through the gates?
Basically, the steering is coming from the back guys. They are choosing the line and way to the gates. They are getting support from the front guys with both strokes, and most power is coming from the back.
I Okay, so let's take a look at event number 1 of this year's Camel Challenge.
The organisers have requested a course that will test teams to the maximum and force plenty of errors, and it doesn't look like they'll be disappointed.
Gate 5, you've got to try and line up on that right-hand pole as best you can. The water tends to move you left, so you almost think you're going to miss the gate coming in on the right-hand pole, and then it moves you left.
This gate is in a particularly difficult position. The teams have to run this small pour-over, which isn't dangerous, but the water can easily mess you around, and it's difficult to avoid a penalty.
Well, the most difficult gates, there is a combination, gates number 2 and number 3, because they are, number 2 is in the eddy, and then number 3 is near one big rock, and there is a quite big hole.
It's not easy breaking out of the eddy on the far side into this fast current without overshooting the gate. Look at this, the gate's not the only problem. All this water pushing into the rock wall causes powerful cushion waves that rise and fall with the surge. This is a nasty swim for the British men. There is a very strong recirculating eddy, and it's not easy to make it to the bank before being washed back around. And there are quite a few submerged rocks as well. Croatia present the judges with an easy decision, and even top contenders Slovenia aren't able to run this one cleanly. Gate 3 causes problems aplenty for top teams and underdogs alike. Mexico have misjudged completely, so that will be a 50-second penalty. And this is a great onboard shot of Germany just squeezing through. Italy employ some desperate measures to get all their heads between the gate, and this is similar tactics from the Russians.
Yeah, I enjoyed the slalom course. Our first one we flipped when we had a surf, and it was fun.
Gates 3 and 5 aren't the only problem areas. There are problems at the upstream gate number 6 as well as the downstream gate 8, and here the Americans are frantic but cleanly through number 1. This is the British women. Their angle of entry isn't good on gate 6. This is bad news for them. The current's going to drag them out of the eddy, giving them a 50-second penalty they really can't afford. Here come Canada through gate 8, an obvious 5-second penalty for them, and the South Africans share the same fate.
That you don't just negotiate one gate at a time, you're negotiating the one above, the one that you're going through, and then the one below, so that you're lining yourself up to take the shortest route through all the different gates.
The course appears to be very difficult, demanding intense concentration and a large degree of skill to negotiate the gates cleanly. Only a few of the top teams will achieve a fault-free run on this course, which is exactly as course designer Willie Baxter of Scotland would have it. The American women's team have returned and look to be in even more impressive form than last year. That's a great start for them through gate 1 with a good angle to set them up for gate 2 in the eddy on the right-hand side of the river. Then it's an upstream ferry angle to get back into the current and line themselves up for gate 3, but that's a 5-second penalty. Good angle on gate 5 and they're clean, but they'll lose time in that slower water below the pour-over. The Americans are making very good use of the draw stroke to line themselves up on the upstream number 6. Number 8 is set in such fast water, it's no wonder they get a touch, but they've done enough to easily secure the ladies' slalom title.
Incredibly exciting course. Lots of big holes, really hard ferrying moves out through big waves. We actually got stuck in a couple holes on our first run on the course. A lot of maneuvering with a lot of powerful moves that you need to make.
Last year's champions Slovenia have an unchanged team and will take some beating. Look at that precision through gate 1, a perfect angle. If anyone can challenge them, it's this revamped German team. They've added some young blood and look very powerful while retaining their strong technical grounding. Slovenia are online for the upstream gate 2, which is fairly simple and no problem for them, while our onboard shot shows just how determined Germany are, jinking through gate 1. The Czech Republic have a totally new team, comprising top international slalom kayakers and are an unknown force. In the first heat they incurred 60 seconds of penalties, but expect an improvement here. The Germans have caught the eddy right on the gate, shaving precious seconds off their time. Then it's a few strong strokes through, followed by a ferry back out into the current. Gate 3 is so tricky, but it's made to look easy by Slovenia. That's an excellent line. This is perfect from the Czechs on gate 2. That's probably the fastest line through there all day. While Germany are cleanly through gate 3. Gate 4 is a simple upstream. Slovenia's main consideration is to save time. Upstream, the Czechs are beautifully through Gate 3. Watch out for them in this heat. This is Germany at number 4, and they've touched the right-hand pole. They'll be very disappointed with that. The Slovenians have judged their angle on Gate 5 to perfection. Germany are demonstrating their skills on the pour-over at gate number 5. The upstreams are where seconds are gained or lost. Slovenia do well on 6, but the Czechs' exit on gate 5 leaves them well placed in the current. Germany sail through gate 6, their bowmen helping with the steering, while the Slovenians efficiently dispatch with the upstream gate 7. Now it's the Czechs' turn to tackle number 6. Excellent. This is the Germans approaching gate 7 smoothly through in one fluid movement. That's the best run we've seen there. Here is Slovenia on the last gate. They power through. It's been an excellent faultless run. 3 minutes 32.4. They're comfortable leaders, but the Germans and Czechs are still to come. Here are the Czechs on gate 7. It's another good run, and they've had no penalties in this heat so far. But here comes Germany on gate 8. Oh no, that's another penalty, so now they'll forfeit 10 seconds of penalties. They're sprinting for the line, but it's not enough. They're over 15 seconds behind Slovenia. It's all up to the Czechs now. This is gate 8. It's another clean run, so they're clear for heat 2. It's just a sprint for the finish, and they've done it. They're nearly 7 seconds ahead.
We are slalom paddlers, and Slovenians are specialists for rafting, and I think maybe for us it was for slalom a little bit advantage.
The first event of the Camel Challenge is over, and a resurgent Czech Republic leads from favourites Slovenia, Germany, Italy and New Zealand, while the US women's team wins from their British and Slovakian counterparts. Team Slovenia, who have won every Camel Whitewater Challenge since the event's inception in 1995, appear to be unbeatable. What is it that makes this unit such a strong team?
Well, we work in different jobs. We are not raft guiders, but we have special program. We have trainer, so we work on this program very hard, very carefully. We practice quite every day, as I said. It takes 4 hours a day. And we started through the winter. We practice in gym, we play football in fall, but in February we begin to paddle, and when competition is closer, we just paddle.
What do you have to do to beat the Slovenians? I don't know. Maybe train 8 hours a day, and all you do is do rafting. But we can't spend as much time as they do for training. They maintain to do 2 or 3 hours training a day. We can't afford that.
Well, we have a very strong national championship. So we have 13 races, a few sprints, few slalom races, and few downrivers. So we have a lot of possibilities to find really the best team from our country. Well, we started since 7 years. So it's almost the same team together. That's very important because team spirit is really the most important thing. We must think like one. That's most important when we are in critical situation. So that's the key also to good results.
How did you start and why?
We are how can I say, kayakers and canoeists. And when we finish our kayak and canoe career, we decided that it's nice to be with the rivers, with nature, and rafting is a really nice sport for team spirit. So we are a good team, and we decided we will proceed with paddling, and we started to paddle around. We won almost this event 3 times, and we hope that we will win this year too.
What are the other teams going to have to do to beat you?
Practice, practice, and practice.
kilometers of class 4 and 5 rapids await our kayakers for the first of the downriver events. The relentless nature of the Peralta section of the Reventazon River will provide both a difficult and dangerous setting for our kayak race. And for this event only, descents of the Class 5 Plus Jungle Run Rapid.
It's an extremely demanding piece of whitewater, Class 5, Jungle Run, 2 rapids down, we're straight into it. It's full of big holes. We're going to be taking various routes down it and to survive the big wave chain to finish.
A very, very continuous section of whitewater here on the Reventazon, no pools in the middle. How's that going to affect your technique for racing?
I think we're all going to bunch together probably at the start. There'll be a group going off early, trying to get to the front, but no one trying to go for a move too early. And I think everyone will stick together till at least halfway through the race, and then you might see 1 or 2 people trying to go for it.
Okay, let's go take a look at the downriver kayak race.
And they're off. It's an amazing spectacle as 18 kayakers vie for position under the bridge at Angostura. First into the feared jungle run is Dejan Kral of Slovenia. He's chosen to go left of the island, while Tim Morrison of the British men's team has chosen the right-hand run, which is the faster but more risky option. The Slovenian is just going to hang on to that slender lead, and the German Dorian Volter is hot on their heels. It's still anybody's race. That's the local Costa Rican kayaker flying by. The Italian has spun round and will lose time, and somebody is upside down, which is no fun in this rapid. It looks like the Croatian. This is trouble for somebody. It looks like they've run that ugly pour-over. The kayak seems to be full of water. They must have popped their spray deck. It's the American woman, Brooke Winger. That's a very timely throwback rescue, but this will cost her a lot of time. The Esses features this huge rock and the associated cushion wave that must be avoided to stay out of trouble. First in, it's the Slovenian Kral again. He looks strong and in control. Now he has to brake hard to his right to avoid the cushion wave, which he's done successfully. Then it'll be Morrison of Britain, followed by Volter of Germany. The order hasn't changed since Jungle Run, but in this water, anything can happen. This is a very close tussle for 4th place between Costa Rica, Italy and the Czech Republic. And the local lad is first through the stopper at the bottom with the Italian hot on his heels. But he's been stopped, he's surfing, then a cartwheel, and he's out. That's the last thing you need in a race like this. Zimbabwe is being pursued by the first woman, Lisa Ray of Britain. And here is Mexico taking a huge chunk of that powerful stopper, but he's through. Here comes his northern neighbor from the US following a similarly big line. And this is his neighbor from Canada. This could be problems for him. He's surfing, but he has control. That's a very controlled surf for Jim Coffey of Canada. Now it's the turn of the US woman, and she's upside down. She's failed to roll on the right, but that's a very neat left-hand roll. Just around the corner is El Horrendo. This one needs no translation. It features this horrendous pour-over near the center of the river, and most competitors will take the same cautious, evasive line as the Slovenian. There is a fair gap between him and the Briton now. And the German is running dangerously close to El Horrendo in an attempt to make up time. This is the group vying for 4th. The Italian and the Czech are content to follow the line of the Costa Rican. The next group includes the leading woman from Britain, as well as the New Zealander, the Croatian and the Zimbabwean. Quite a way downstream, we have land of 100 holes, with more safety and precision here. This is the British woman. She's spending an awfully long time upside down, but she's up and okay as the race moves just downstream to land of 1,000 holes. This is another safety team member equipped in his rescue source gear watching over the Slovenian as he tries to avoid all these ugly holes. He really is looking good, and it's not far to go. The Briton is a little way behind now, still working hard with that unmistakable slalom kayaker style, and he's not far ahead of the German. So the first 3 positions remain unchanged, but with cement factories still to come, we could still see a new leader. The next 3 have stuck together like glue. Not far behind, it's Lisa Ray, still holding off the challenge of the New Zealander and showing the winner of last year's men's event, Williamson of Zimbabwe, a clean pair of heels. The Mexican is holding his own, not far ahead of the US paddler. But he's in trouble here. He's dropped into a tight little hole and he's not coming out of there in a hurry. There he's out, not very elegant, but effective. Here comes the Australian, and this could be nasty. This is a very sticky hole. There's only one way out of that, and that's to swim. Once again, the safety's there to collect his kayak, and he looks okay. Cement Factory is a big rapid with plenty of potential for disaster, but true to his form in this race, the Slovenian finds the perfect line down the centre and makes it look easy. Morrison of Britain follows a similar line. But the German could be a little off course here. He's made it okay. Now it's the Czech, just holding Costa Rica and Italy at bay. They're all neatly through, and now the Italian seems to be making his move. New Zealand is just ahead of the British woman. And here comes Zimbabwe. He seems to have a problem. He's taking in water. He's swimming, and that will put him out of contention this close to the finish. Here comes Eli Smith of the US. And he's in trouble again. He's surfing in what looks like quite a large hole. He really is having problems. He's getting worked badly in there. At last he's out, but his splash cover is off, and that will cost him dearly. There's a lot of current pushing through, and recovery isn't easy. That's a great aerial view of the Slovenian. He's quite a way clear of the Briton, and this is Germany in third. They must have been racing for an hour now, and the paddles feel heavy. The finish line beckons, and Dejan Kralj of Slovenia wins the race. He's led from start to finish, and he deserves this victory. Here comes the Briton Tim Morrison in second place, and Dorian Volta of Germany in third. The second group is still very tight, but the Italian has taken it ahead of the Czech and the Costa Rican. This is a strange sight. The New Zealander is swimming. He's had a problem in this small rapid leading up to the finish and will cross the line hanging on to the kayak of the winner of the women's section, Lisa Ray of Britain.
The race was very hard because the water is very strong and it's very difficult to pedal when you're tired, and a lot of stoppers, so it was very hard.
Oh, it's great. It was a battle right off the start, right up to the top of jungle. There were kayaks everywhere, you were bumping off people, and then by the time we got to the jungle, people spread out. I had a battle with a New Zealand guy all the way down, and landed 100 holes. I went for a few holes. But apart from that, it was a great race.
Slovenia collect maximum points from this event, with Britain in second, followed by Germany, Italy and the Czech Republic. Lisa Ray of Britain wins the women's event from Brooke Winger of the US team. Between events, teams take time to explore Costa Rica, from the active volcano at Arenal to the pristine beauty of the Caribbean coast. We join the South African team on a day off from competitive racing as they find out more about the diverse cultures of this land, but still find time to practice for the upcoming events.
We're here at Aviarios del Caribe, a local wildlife sanctuary with a rescued baby sloth. Brett, would you like to tell us what happened?
Yeah, we were here just on one of our days off from the camel rafting, and Lewis was showing us around his rainforest after a local documentary on the three-toed sloths, and we were actually looking at a termite farm in one of the trees. And I just happened to look down after everyone had gone by and noticed this little furball. And on close inspection, we saw it was a dead three-toed sloth. And just sort of moving it around and probing it, we saw a small little movement and found out that there was a little baby that was clinging to the sloth. So we called Lewis, and he came and did the necessities.
Hero of the day. Okay, Louis, owner of the wildlife sanctuary, what would have happened to the sloth?
Well, what happened, I think, is that she had a baby a couple of days before, and she probably was weak and didn't know what branch she grabbed, but she grabbed the wrong branch, and it broke and came down. They usually fall down from the trees; it's no big deal. But this time, they fell on the roots of the tree, and it hit her head. and kill her instantly. Probably, at a high altitude of 30 meters, 20 meters, falling down is not...
What would have happened to the baby if he hadn't found the mother?
Oh, she would have died. I don't think she had more than 5 hours to be alive, because I think the mother was, when they got here, it was in the afternoon. She must have been got killed in the morning, because she was stiff and cold already. When they brought me to see that they have a little monster like this. It's beautiful, and we appreciate that you guys came over and she got Brett's name, and forever. You're the padrino, we call him in Spanish.
Grandfather.
It's a godfather.
Godfather.
The team not only discovers Costa Rica's rich natural beauty, but also finds a way to contribute to it in true camel style.
It's time for our international teams to line up head-to-head for the raft sprint on the Ise section of the Reventazon River. This relatively long 1,000-meter course of 5 plus 4 and 5 rapids will test both the stamina and the river skills of the teams to negotiate this section of the river. Any spill at this stage of the game will be disastrous for this part of the competition.
One cannot afford to have any downtime, and particularly in the strength of the field that one has around here, they're going to be very close times, and you've got to have a clean, uneventful run.
Well, some hot competition lining up with the Czech Republic taking first blood in the first competition. Let's go and see what happens in the raft sprint.
3, 2, 1, go!
The stopwatches are running, and first up it's South Africa versus the Slovakian ladies. Teams line up head-to-head according to their seeding, and the South Africans will hope that a time of 5 minutes 31 will improve on some disappointing results for them. Next we have Russia against the British women. The Russian strength carries them into an early lead which grows as the race continues, and their time puts them ahead of South Africa, while the British women are clocked at 5:58. Canada are seeded ahead of Zimbabwe, but the Africans are off to a good start. The Canadians won't take this lying down. They fight back hard and manage to edge into the lead. It's a really close race. The Canadians take it, but it's not enough to overtake Russia. Now it's Croatia versus the US men. This is a battle royal. The Croatians are leading against the odds. The US are waiting for a mistake, and there it is. The US seize their opportunity, 5:20. They've squeezed in ahead of the Russians. The Mexicans use this bizarre standing style against the New Zealanders. To good effect too, they're ahead. The Kiwis are a very strong team. They've come back hard to win the heat, but the US still have that winning time. Here are the Italians, leading from host nation Costa Rica. The Italians race regularly in Europe, and they put this experience to good effect here, and they've got the overall lead. Australia take on top contenders Germany. It's a good race for the Germans, 5:17, they're ahead of Italy. This will spur on rivals Slovenia, who are up against the US women. The women are really holding on well here. Slovenia's power is too much. They've got to be the new leaders. It's a fantastic time, 5:10, and the US women have overtaken the UK ladies. It's the last of the heats, the Czechs versus the Britons. It's a very close race. The Czechs need a win, but not without a fight. It's a very fast time, but Slovenia still lead. The rafts are lifted on this ramp specially constructed by ISA, while these leaf-cutter ants continue oblivious to all the frenetic activity around them. The top 4 teams go through to the semi-finals. This is the first. It's Italy versus the Czech Republic. The Czechs are first over the pour-over. It's a good start for them. The Italians are off angle here. This is a disastrous mistake by them. They've stopped in the eddy behind the pour-over. They have to spin around, and the Czechs have opened a huge gap. Italy must chase hard now, but it will be difficult to make up that much time over such a short distance. The lead is just too much. The Italians will never close that. The Czechs just need to keep their lead for a place in the final, and that's no problem for them. This semi-final promises to be very exciting. It's old rivals Slovenia and Germany. The Slovenians have pole position, and they're off to a very good start. Slovenia have gone a little too wide. Germany are going for the inside line. They can sneak into the gap. This is tight. The inside paddlers can't really paddle, but Germany have a little more current, and the Germans have done it. They're ahead. Slovenia will keep the pressure up, try and force a mistake, and look for a different line to gain some advantage. Germany is still just in front at the next rapid. Slovenia are breathing down their necks. Now Germany are running too close to the center. This is another disastrous mistake. They've handed the race back to Slovenia. The Slovenians' pressure has paid off. They will win the race and meet the Czechs in the final. The Germans are bitterly disappointed. Their old rivals have taken them, but there are still smiles and handshakes all round. The women's final sees the US square up against the UK. It was first blood to the Americans in the slalom event, and the Britons will want to get some points back. The US women are quicker out of the starting blocks. They had pole position and they are just in front. Even small stopper waves can hinder the teams, as the UK women find out. The Britons will try different tactics to make up the deficit. The US women are holding on to that lead well. They may even be extending it a little. The UK aren't going to catch up now. That's the finish line. They can relax. Uh-oh, they've relaxed a bit too much. They've run into a rock wall and burst a tube as the UK ladies cross the line. Slovenia go head-to-head against the Czechs in the men's final. This is going to be another close race. The Czechs won the slalom event and are still a bit of an unknown force. Slovenia have the advantage of pole position again. They are ahead, but only just. The Czechs are trying for the same early move that the Germans employed. Slovenia have held off the challenge, but the Czechs will fight back. They're trying to make up time on the bend. They're cutting across early, but the Slovenians are in the faster water. Slovenia have a good lead coming into this one, and that's enough to take the title. It's been a monumental effort. Here come the Czechs, quite a few seconds behind, and they have a swimmer. He must have fallen out in the last rapid. He's so exhausted he can't get back on board.
At the last round, it was a final with Czech. That was really very hard to do, but we have good luck and we take very nice line and we won the race.
Slovenia win another event. They've beaten the Czechs in the final, and then it's Germany, Italy and the US men. And their countrywomen have won another event from the UK and Slovakia. The Rio Reventazon, where all this amazing action has taken place, is already doomed by this hydroelectric scheme which will leave the river dry as early as next year. Plans have been made to dam the spectacular Pacuare River, which will drown out the rapids, fauna and flora, and force the removal of the indigenous families that live on its banks.
We've been fighting to protect it for a long time, and I think we can make it. It's one of the rivers, one of the most beautiful rivers I've ever seen in the world. I've been all over the world and I can say that, and plus everybody that's here says the same thing. So I think it's a river that we need to protect. We must keep the time away from it.
It's really very nice and we were there twice. Nice river, and I think it's better to leave nature as is.
One of the purposes of this competition is to bring awareness to this river, bring publicity, and let people see how beautiful it really is. It's a spectacular river, and it's really beautiful.
There's plenty of potential thanks to the contracts that the rafting company, Rios Tropicales, created for the foundation in the environmental field as well as in the rafting industry. We've also been able to evaluate the project in different forms, environmental, economic. We believe that there's definitely alternatives to the project, and hopefully with this kind of support we'll be able to do so.
It's such a loss to Costa Rica.
I think it's a real shame that it's going to be gone. More people should get out.
And I think Costa Rica has a lot to offer in the rivers and the nature, the exotic climate, the people, everything.
We're into the final point-scoring event for the downriver raft race on 14 kilometers of the Class 5 outer section of the Reventazon River. This stretch of the river has very few pools and numerous rapids, so consistent maneuvering is required and any mistakes may be dearly paid for. At this stage of the game, Slovenia lead, but not by much. Czech Republic close behind and still contenders for the title.
Near Czech team, it's also Team Germany very strong, and team from Italy, also team from South Africa, so We will really pull very hard all the course.
We're expecting it to be about 50 minutes. It's going to be very, very tough. Starting 4 boats in a row, we're going off in the third wave. We'll have, I think, second choice of position behind Canada. So we're going to have to try and work very hard, try and get past Canada early, and then it'll be quite nice because we'll have the other boats to follow. We're going to have to watch out for S-Bend Rapid. It's been, we flipped there once. We've lost a few swimmers and a couple of other occasions. 100 holes, 1,000 holes are going to be very tough. So I think when we get past half an hour, the guys are just going to be having to hang on and try and hold on till the end. It's going to be very, very tough.
Well, you know, number one, we want to stay upright, keep from flipping, stay together as a team. Of course, you know, we want to beat the other women's teams, and we want to do as well as we can among the men. You know, I think it's really over-optimistic to try to be top 10 because so much of this is based on strength. But I'd really like South Africans.
Slovenia have pole position based on their results to date, followed by the Czechs, the Germans and the Italians. They're off to a very good start. It's an advantage to get your nose in front from the beginning. It's easier to defend the lead than regain it. Teams line up in 4 waves of 4 boats, starting 1 minute apart. The US is ahead of New Zealand, Russia and the British men. Next, it's South Africa, anxious to turn around a disappointing competition with Australia, Canada, Russia and the US women. Home team Costa Rica lead the final wave with Mexico, Zimbabwe and the British women. You can see the continuous nature of the river as the lead group approach the first major rapid, known as the Ghost Train. Slovenia are first in, cleverly avoiding the center of the wave chain, where boats can easily take on water, which slows them down as the water drains out. This is the next wave of boats. Here's a great battle between the US and New Zealand, really exhausting for this early in the event. And the Kiwis have edged ahead. South Africa lead the third wave of rafts from Australia and Canada. Our onboard camera with the Slovenians shows just how good their timing really is. This is the S's. They need to brake hard to their right to avoid the cushion wave coming off the rock. The Czechs are paddling well, but have allowed a gap to open up between them and Slovenia. They cannot afford to take too many chances to make up the time. Germany are online. It's a neat run for them. Now here's Italy. That's a big hit in the stopper. They almost went backwards. A raft could easily flip there. Here come New Zealand. They seem to have made up some time on the lead bunch, and they have a minute in hand. Behind them, the US is involved in another battle, this time with the Russians. The South Africans have broken clear of other boats in their wave. A little way behind, it's the US women, erring on the side of caution and almost running aground. But the whole team pulls together to straighten the raft. The UK women also spin sideways, but cleverly use a wave to spin the raft back round. Italy tailed Germany and the Czechs with the Slovenians in front. This is the aptly named El Horrendo. Running over that pour-over is just not an option. The Slovenians will choose the left-hand run through this one. The secret is to avoid going too far left. There are small holes and shallow rocks that can slow you down. They've judged it well. Behind them, the Czechs are running it more centrally. It's faster but more risky. And behind them, it's Team Germany. They haven't gone for the same bold line, and to their left, the Italians have taken an even more cautious line. Italy are working hard. They seem inspired to do well. New Zealand are still in there, leading from the US team, who have edged back ahead of the Russians. They will hold back and challenge later. And then it's the British men's team. South Africa have run very far left. That's the kind of mistake that costs teams valuable seconds. Canada, on the other hand, have run very close to the pour-over, a fast line. This is unbelievable. That's Costa Rica on the left of your screen, and they're heading straight into El Horrendo. This could be ugly. They've got swimmers. That was incredible. They've done this run dozens of times in practice. They got off fairly lightly. They need to regroup now and get on their way. But it may take a while to get back into contact with their swimmer. Now it's the turn of the British women to make a hash of things. That's a few more valuable seconds. Slovenia are still out in front. But what's this? Germany are overtaking the Czechs. 100 holes. It's exactly as the name implies. Holes all over the place, different sizes. At best, they will slow you down. At worst, they'll flip you. Slovenia dispatch with this one with their normal clinical precision. Germany will chase hard now that they've finally passed the Czechs. They really would like to take the Slovenians. The Czechs are running river left, the Italians river right, both teams vying for that third place. The Italians are exploring different lines to try and gain on the Czechs. Both teams ought to watch out for New Zealand. They seem to have plenty of stamina. Behind them, this intriguing battle between the Russians and the US continues. There's the US raft just ahead. Their female counterparts are far ahead in the women's race. Just downstream, it's the big brother of 100 holes, 1,000 holes. Just look at it. Most teams will run down on the river left. That's the right of your screen. Here's Slovenia leading from Germany. There's still a fair gap there, but Germany are in hot pursuit. The Italians are right on the tail of the Czechs now. It's another intriguing battle for the places. New Zealand continue their relentless charge, and behind them, the US and Russia continue their rivalry. Croatia have dropped into a small but powerful hole. It's keeping them there. It's very sticky. It's holding their raft in there. And at last it's out. But there's one of them who can't decide if he wants to stay in the raft or not. Mexico have done very well. They've come from the fourth wave at the start and are now challenging teams from the third. They've overtaken Australia and Costa Rica. The US women are in trouble. They've been doing so well, now they're stuck in that same problematic hole. And they've got swimmers. This will cost them a lot of time. The swimmers are safe. They've reached the shore. Now the raft is out. That's a very quick rescue of the swimmers, and they'll be on their way. Zimbabwe's luck hasn't improved. They've just flipped in the same area. This is an agonizingly slow reflip. They've got it over at last. It's not that easy getting back aboard when you're tired, and there are paddles all over the place. This hole has been a thorn in the side of competitors today. This time, it's the British women. Whoa, that was almost over. More swimmers. Slovenia have clung to a reasonable lead going into Cement Factory. The Germans are still chasing doggedly, but it will be difficult. And this is a great view of Italy and the chasing Czechs. The Italians are not going to give up their hard-fought third place easily. To close that 1 minute gap somewhat. They may well be ahead of the Czechs on time. The US men have pulled away from Russia at last. Here are the Russians. This is such a huge roller coaster run. South Africa have pulled well clear of their group now. And Mexico is still leading from Costa Rica and Australia. The US women have recovered well and are back into their rhythm. Now this is Zimbabwe, minus a few paddles. Aerials of the lead group show the Czechs just behind Italy. Germany are second, and there's quite a distance to Slovenia, who can't be caught now. This is the final run-in. Slovenia ahead of Germany. The crowd appreciate their achievement. They allow themselves a little celebration before the finish line. Why not? They're overall winners for the 4th year in a row. And here are the Germans. They've worked hard for their 2nd place. This is Italy, 3rd across the line. Then it's the Czechs. And now it's New Zealand. Another great result. They've claimed 3rd place. Their time is just faster than the Italians. South Africa have had a long, hard slog for their 8th place. The US women win the ladies section. It's been a great race for them. And the British women have also recovered from their mishaps to finish well.
It was a hard race, really challenging. We stayed right on the backs of quite a few of the men's teams the whole way. We were pretty excited about that.
Slovenia! Slovenia win the raft down river and the overall title. Germany are 2nd, New Zealand 3rd. And the US women are raft down river and overall champions ahead of Britain. The prize giving takes place at the Hotel Suere. Slalom event winners and 2nd place overall goes to the surprise team of the challenge, the Czech Republic. Dejan Kral of Slovenia wins the kayak race from Tim Morrison of Britain and Dorian Volter of Germany. Slovenia are back to their winning ways in the raft sprint with an awesome display of power. And then lead from start to finish to win the downriver race. The US women dominate the women's events to take the overall women's title. Deserved recipients of the overall title and this magnificent floating trophy, it's Team Slovenia for an incredible 4th year in succession.
The whole competition's been great, but one thing that's really my favourite part of the competition was running the Rio Reventisson for the first time. It was good.
Everything. Paddling. Enjoyed all the paddling. And I'd have to say the salsa dance, definitely.
I would say we're used to flipping. We're used to surfing on the Zambezi. You can flip and swim everywhere, no problem. That's what happened here. We flipped, we surfed, everything. We did everything that we can do on the Zambezi.
The hotel pool was the ideal setting for an afternoon session of kayak polo. A gentle game played by gentle folk.
Hi. Tell us, what was your highlight? The favorite was 1,000 holes because we almost flipped on down the river race and we enjoyed, but on the end we passed through like a piece of cake.
I like Costa Rica. as soon as I arrived, I did like the place, the rivers, everything.
It wasn't all serious racing and carnage on the river. There were some wonderful light-hearted moments as well.
Well, it's a big city because
You just said it was very crazy.
so every team must very care about entry of that combination because that should be we will try to stay behind these people, and I think we
stop moving and squeaking. Guys, can you just stop the valve for 2 minutes? Yeah.
Coming up for 1 minute.
You can't exactly tell
yada 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 yada.
The team salute another highly successful Camel Whitewater Challenge in the event's first year away from Africa. Next year we return to Africa and the source of the Nile in Uganda.